What is up, everybody? It is JT Sports. I am back to you guys with another video. And I got to talk about some breaking news, man. So, like 2 minutes ago, got an alert on my phone from ESPN. You know, ESPN got a little sound effect. You know, it got that dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. And then the notification pop up. Odell Beckham Jr. is finalizing a deal to play with the Los Angeles Rams. And like, I'm just looking at it. I'm kind of shocked. I'm looking at, my homeboys and stuff. I'm like, bro, like, why do the Rams need Odell Beckham Jr.? They're already stacked. Didn't they just trade for Von Miller last week? Like, the NFL now is starting to change, man. Like, it's so many, like, what we used to consider great teams now in the past aren't even nowhere close to some of the stacked teams we have. Like, so check me out. I was playing Madden the other night, right? And I was just telling my dog, I was like, bro, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are really stacked. Like Tom Brady has everything: receivers, running backs, offensive line. You look at the LA Rams, they pretty much got everything. You look at their wide receiver corps. Now, Cooper Kupp probably has been a top 3 wide receiver this year. You already got Cooper Kupp. You still got Robert Woods. You got Van Jefferson, who is emerging. Now you add Odell Beckham to that mix with Matthew Stafford. Oh my goodness. And you already got to know the Rams defense is already nasty. It was already nasty before they traded for Von Miller. Now you got Von Miller. You got Aaron Donald. You got Jalen Ramsey. Like, the Rams are stacked. And if you guys have been subscribed to the channel dating all the way back to the off season before the regular season kicked off, the Rams were my preseason pick to make it to the Super Bowl. And the reason why I said that is because the Rams are like a perfect matchup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I feel like the team that really matches up well on paper with Tampa Bay are the Los Angeles Rams. And we saw that when those teams faced off, and we saw the Rams come up on the winning end of that matchup. But now with the addition of Odell Beckham Jr., this offense is going to be super dangerous. And on top of that, you're giving OBJ to Sean McVay. Sean McVay is one of the best play callers in the NFL. And I've been going back and forth with a lot of people on Twitter, because when you're on Twitter, everybody acts like they're such a football nerd. Everybody knows more than you in football. Can't nobody tell you nothing. It's like, but I was trying to tell people kept trying to go with the Skip Bayless narrative that OBJ is washed up and stuff like that. And that's not true. Odell Beckham Jr. is not washed up. Yeah, he does have problems staying on the field, staying healthy, but a lot of people got to understand, sometimes good players aren't a good fit for certain teams. And you look at Kevin Stefanski's system, I don't really feel like Odell Beckham was really a good fit. It seems like all Cleveland really had Odell Beckham do is kind of be like a decoy, just run all these deep routes, flies, post routes. They didn't really get Odell Beckham the ball like how they should. It wasn't really a lot of screen passes, bubble screens, jet sweeps. Like, Odell Beckham Jr. is a do-it-all wide receiver. You just can't put Odell Beckham on the field and say, hey man, we're just going to use you as a decoy, or we're just going to have you primarily running routes that are deep, developing routes downfield. Like, when you got a wide receiver like Odell Beckham Jr., you just can't limit him to one thing. Like, you got to find a way to get him the ball, man, whether that be jet sweeps, reverses, wildcat. Like, you just got to put the ball in Odell Beckham Jr.'s hands, and that's something that Sean McVay is going to be able to do. Now, what surprises me is the timing of the decision, because earlier today, they said that Odell Beckham Jr. was most likely going to end up picking the team that he was going to play for the remainder of the season after Sunday slated games. Well, this is coming Thursday. And it's really surprising to me because, like, I didn't think the Rams were going to keep add OBJ. Like, the main teams who were in the mix for him were the Raiders, the Packers, the Patriots, and the Saints. So I'm really surprised that he signed the Rams out of nowhere. So this Rams team is absolutely stacked. Now my question is, okay, how is this going to affect Van Jefferson? Because you already got Cooper Kupp, you got Robert Woods. Now where does OBJ mix into the offense? Where does Van Jefferson mix into the offense? So you got a lot of great, talented wide receivers. And I'm not really worried about how the Rams are going to use OBJ. Like, Sean McVay's going to find a way to get him the ball. Like, he's going to find a way to maximize OBJ and his skill set. And don't be surprised if you see OBJ come out the gates and start going off during the second half of this season, because there are a lot of people who are writing off OBJ with the narrative that he's old, he's washed up. Like, OBJ, to me, is still one of the most talented wide receivers in the league. If we're grading wide receivers just based off pure talent, OBJ is top 5 in that department. Great at running routes, great running off the line. He can pretty much do everything. If you need him to be a great deep threat, he can be that. If you need somebody who can catch passes across the middle of the field, he can be that. If you need a yak guy, yards after catch guy, he can be that. Like, OBJ, to me, if we're talking about pure talent, is one of the 5 most talented wide receivers in the league right now. Pure talent, I'm not talking about, based off productivity and whatnot, not going off statistics. We're just talking about pure talent. OBJ is top 5 at his position. And I don't really think nobody should really be debating that, because there's not really too many wide receivers in the league right now that have the skill set to be able to do what OBJ can. So now you already got Odell Beckham Jr. You're going to have to account for Odell, and a lot of teams still have to account for Odell. Like, a lot of people have this narrative that OBJ is washed up and things like that. Like, there are still defensive coordinators that game plan for Odell Beckham. So now you got Odell Beckham Jr. You got to worry about him. What about Cooper Kupp? Because Cooper Kupp has already been having an all-pro caliber season. You can make the argument and say that Cooper Kupp has been the best wide receiver in the league this year, and I wouldn't get mad at you. You can't throw all your white people jokes about wide receivers all you want to, but Cooper Kupp has been the best wide receiver in the league this year. You got him, you got Robert Woods, then you got to worry about Darrell Henderson in the ground game. You got Matthew Stafford, who's having a really great season. Like, the Rams, ladies and gentlemen, are going to be suiting up for a deep playoff run, and it's going to be really interesting because the NFC is so top heavy. You got Tampa Bay, they're already stacked. You got the Rams, you got the Packers. It's like a big drop off from those 3 teams I mentioned and the rest of the NFC. So this is a really huge signing. It's a signing that's going to scare a lot of people. It's going to catch a lot of people off by surprise. You also have Seattle, who is also rumored to be in the sweepstakes for him. Like, this is wild. Like, I never really thought we would get to a point where we would start seeing teams start to assemble super teams and whatnot. And I really like the Rams' philosophy when it comes to how they go about things. Like, the Rams aren't somebody who likes to build through the draft, okay? Like, they rather take that first-round pick and trade it for a proven veteran than use that first-round pick and what could be, a bust or what could be a pretty good player. Now, they always find a way to navigate the cap space situation. Like, the Rams, ladies and gentlemen, are suiting up for a deep playoff run. And I already told you guys the Rams were my preseason pick to win the Super Bowl. They're still my mid-season pick to win the Super Bowl still. Even though they had a couple of off games, I know they got dominated recently by Tennessee on Sunday Night Football, but that still doesn't change my opinion about how I feel about this Rams team. And now you add Odell Beckham Jr.? I don't even know what to say. So you guys let me know how you guys feel about Odell Beckham Jr. being signed by the Los Angeles Rams down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys follow me on my social media platforms. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at both JT_Sports_. Link down in the description down below. Also, make sure that you check out the JT Sports Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. The JT Sports Podcast is available. Every video that is uploaded on the channel is uploaded in audio format on those podcasts and platforms, so make sure that you guys go ahead and check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.